Hi, this is a reflection on lesson 272 in A Course in Miracles, and it says, how can illusions satisfy God's Son? Basically, how can illusions satisfy us? Satisfy me, satisfy you? Yeah, how? So what it's really pointing to, again, at the point where all of this is a metaphor, each lesson just talks in metaphor. So this idea of illusion is, let's think about that for a second. It's what we take our reality to be versus what it actually is. And so what is that? Are we taking, like, there's a materialist view of the world and there's like a metaphysical view of the world. Both, I believe, that word is funny, believe. Words are so hard these days. It's going to be hard to get through the end of this year on these lessons with talking in words. Those can coexist. They're both true. There's truth in everything. So anyway, what's the illusion then? I think the illusion is that we have this separate thing we call us, a self, that's separate from reality. And that word doesn't even mean anything anymore. Like but I think that's what the book is pointing to, is that we take ourselves to be some separate entity, and that from the rest of like existence, like we're like this world of duality, me versus you, us versus them, me versus the nature that surrounds me. We're still separate. So everything, no matter what it is, conceptually, it's really about separation. And that's an illusion, because the real reality is that of oneness. So what is oneness versus everything? When we look around, it's like we have discrete objects that are separate from me, right? That's how we perceive the world. And then when we think of oneness, it's not, to me, it's not conceptual anymore. So that's why it's hard to use words, because words reinforce the conceptual. Because I was even thinking about this as I going through whatever I'm going through, where I'm like that whole loosening the grip. That still is a great phrase for what my experiences these days. Things are loosening. Very subtly, that grip on duality, that grip on separation. So maybe this is a good time to talk about that, because it's really about this lesson, like this idea that everything's an illusion. And I'll just sit there with my coffee in the morning and be like, just staring out the window, and it's just like pure bliss without thoughts. And then a thought will come in, and then words come in associated with the thought. And then I laugh, because I'm like, words are just metaphors. Every single word is a metaphor. This is everything's a metaphor. And even the phrase, I laughed this morning because I was like, the phrase, this is a metaphor, is so funny, because the word this, each word is a pointer. It's like, okay, I'll go back. So the reason I think, and I realize, like, everything's a metaphor, is like when we were first developing language, I would imagine. Is somebody here? My client isn't that early, are they? Hold on. No, I don't think so. I have a neighboring business next door that people park in front of my space, and I think it's for me, and it's not. So anyway, how much time do I have? Okay, so when I was thinking about when language developed, why did it develop? We all were having our own inner experiences, right? Like, I was a caveman looking out at a beautiful sunset, and my inner experience was one of, just like, Like the beauty of something would capture me. And then maybe I was a caveman. I was like, man, I'm hungry without those words. Like we didn't have words yet, right? What was the inner experience? I say caveman, just to illustrate like pre-language, pre-verbal. What was our existence like with before words? And so I was like, oh, I feel a hollowness and I feel a lack of energy. Like I feel like, man, I better go eat something. And by then maybe we knew like, oh, I gotta go kill the thing and put it in my mouth and then I'll feel better. It was all bodily sensations, right? About, okay, there's some underlying like drive to keep this going and I gotta rev it up, get the energy back. Oh, okay, yeah. Have babies, eat food, sleep. Like that was the drive of the body, I guess. And so I think about, well, why did language develop? It was probably like, holy shit, that sunset made me go, and it made me feel something so viscerally beautiful that I'm like, did anybody still see that? And so maybe the first thing was like, I'm sitting here with my caveman buddy going, uh, uh, like there were sounds like the whole you too, right? And then we started coming up with words because there were so many moments that we wanted to differentiate between. Like when we're away from the thing, we went back to our little cave where there's no sunset because we're in a cave. And then we're like, well, I'm not tired yet. I'm not hungry. So I don't need, like, what can we do to just, do we just sit here and stare at each other in the cave? Well, it's dark. Maybe we'll make some noises. So I don't know what it was like. And then so it was like, oh, I have a memory like that sunset came back to me from yesterday or sunrise from this morning. And I'm with my same buddy and I'm like, oh, let's call back that inner experience and just like try to recapture that feeling again. And so it was like, well, how do I do that if it's not in our both of our simultaneous awareness where I can go, yeah, and they're like, oh, but we're in a cave. There's no sunrise to do that with. So how do we call back that experience together in a form of connection and sharing and I guess passing the time until I'm hungry and got to kill something again or fall asleep because I'm tired, like to respond to physical sensation. Fast forward a couple 100,000 years, and now it's like I'll just scroll on my phone. It's kind of like connection, I guess. I have all the words in my head. I don't really need to say them to anybody. Like I just love when those thoughts come to mind because it's so funny to think about. Like, what did we do to recall the inner experience and connect with each over that? And it was like language had to develop, maybe because of that, and also because it's like, hey, I'm hungry, like I'm having this, oh. And then I have to go kill the thing. You want to come with, buddy? Like this motion, like come with. Oh, it's fun. So like of course language had to develop, but why? It was like because we had stuff to do to keep the body alive and I might need help. That's a form of connection. Like, let's do this together. It's easier together than alone. And also those moments of like, I felt like my body felt something that they didn't have words like bliss and there were no words. So it was like, I want more of this. It's like, oh, that feels even better than like, or maybe on par with like, I fed myself and now I'm like, power up, got my energy back, my body feels good. So it's like, and then preferences start to form. I'd rather feel energetic than lethargic, right? I'd rather feel those bliss states than like sitting around in my dark cave not talking to anybody, And so then our nervous systems get wired for that over the couple 100,000 years, and here we are today with that old caveman technology, And something changed, didn't it? It was like, well, like, wow, our modern reality, we're so disconnected from the body, or even recognizing maybe that's why we started having language, is to connect and like recall into us those bodily sensations we love so much. And now it's like, yeah, the dopamine hits. So a lot of it might come from cognitive stuff, but the big ones are like visceral, aren't they? How did I get on this topic? Oh, illusion, the illusion of separation. So I think even back to the caveman days, like everything, like language evolved as a form of connection. Well, why? Because we were experiencing something that was just so profound in the body that was like, oh, I want to share it. I want them to have the same feeling, but first I have to somehow describe it. First I have to understand if that happened for them too. And like, if not, maybe we could talk about it and like, they can have it too, like sharing. So fun. So then I go back to like, well, what is this illusion of separation, and how do we get back to the realness of things? For me personally, lately, especially, it's returning over and over again to the body, and even in the loosening the grip of things. Like those two things go hand in hand, even down to just bodily tension. So it's like I'll find myself, like, it's been a journey. Like I've had many moments of this over the last couple years, especially since becoming a massage therapist. And now I'm all like, know about the muscles. So, and especially the last little while, like getting more subtle and subtle into like, where else am I holding tension? Where else am I creating a barrier between me and reality? The reality I conceptually know exists. And I'm trying to break down those barriers of what I perceive my reality to be, of separate objects, going about our business, and the real reality of there's something so interconnected that we could call oneness, that we could call like this, everything's made of the same stuff kind of thing. And when I look out, and I've had moments of this, and it's pretty trippy, when you look out and you're like, I have a felt body sense that there's no me and that I'm that teapot. And then I laugh and I'm like, oh my God, I'm that teapot without psychedelics. So anyway, there's that, and it comes back to the body. And then I'm like, okay, let's keep loosening the grip as I sit there. That's, I guess, my current form of meditation, is eyes open, just feeling like, where's my body holding even the most subtle amount of tension? Because like I said, it's been a journey of releasing tension over and over and over and over. It gets, the big ones obviously call our attention, and it gets more and more subtle, just like everything. So it's like, oh my God, my left hand, this is the most recent one that I'm like, man, it's freaking doing it all the time. It's like holding so tightly to things that I laugh, because I'm like in this mindset of like loosening my grip, and yet my left hand is like, hell no, you won't. But it's so subtle, it doesn't feel big until I focus on it. I'm like, holy shit, you're gonna smash that coffee mug in half. And I'm like, but I didn't feel that at all until I focused on it. So anyway, that's just what I'm doing now. And it reminds me that the tension I feel in the body, like when I release those, and it's so subtle because it's like a reminder, do it over and over and over again. It's like a practice, like, oh, just keep noticing and releasing, noticing and releasing. And it's so subtle and insignificant feeling, like, oh, okay, I just let go again. And then I'm like, oh man, over and over and over. Then I'm like, then I have more and more of those caveman bliss state moments, like everything's connected. I am that lamp. And then I laugh. Like today on the drive to work, I saw somebody's trash can still sitting out from yesterday's trash day. And I was that trash can. I can't explain it. And then I laughed. So yeah, and I don't think, like in the past, I guess I've had psychedelic experiences where I've kind of come into contact with that, but it's had a different flavor. This feels more raw. I'm back to that feeling of rawness. The other thing I want to reflect on, do I have time? Okay, I have a few minutes, and I want to stand up. So is this feeling of like the emotional states that I experience going through this, and then I'm gonna sit back down. The emotional things I've noticed that bubble up, like the other day I called them aftershocks, like big recognitions. Um, there'll be aftershocks that like everything gets more and more subtle, so it's like, oh, this aftershock had some subtle flavor of the big thing, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that was about, or yeah, totally. And now the one that has been coming to me lately is the word savor, like, and then it has this is related to me, to my whole journey of how slow I am at things, perceived slowness of why is it taking me 48 years. And then there's that whole timekeeping aspect, and like I have some expectation that I should have done this sooner, whatever. That's all. I'll just throw that away for a moment. But this idea of savoring to me has such beauty to it that of course it's taken me so long, because every time, like, and I go back my whole life and you can see the breadcrumbs that led to this moment, right? Whatever your moment is, like you can look back and see the breadcrumbs that led to XYZ. And it was like some part of me has perfectly designed whatever's going on now, where things go from really big to really subtle, like I was saying before, in terms of like big, like peak experiences or whatever you want to call them. And they like have had such big peak experiences, usually pretty far apart. And it's, to me, I have this visual right now in my head of a ball that you bounce, like boom, 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 boom. And then things become more subtle in terms of that hit against the ground, like the resonance or the shaking open kind of vibe. And then the sound, even, and then the like the closeness together of the hits, and then everything's subtle. So in my mind, that boom, 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 boom has been how my life is, in terms of like basically everything, but especially this journey of awakening to the nature of everything. I don't know what to call it anymore. It's so silly to talk about. And after I stop this video, I'm going to be like, oh, that was a waste of time. Why did I even bother talking about that? And then I'm on to the next thing. Not even having a memory of this. So what I think about now that brings the emotion is every little hit of my little ball against the ground that's becoming more and more subtle is the savoring. Like it's like part of me, and then I think about my ego being like, you don't want this. You still want me to be here all the time, making separation, making problems so I can fix them. I think about that too. Like there's a duality, like a paradox rather, of that, me recognizing that the reason I like this, the emotion that bubbles up that I feel so beautiful about is like the savoring of the self, the ego self that still exists. And that each ball hit is a piece of that loosening and flying away into the mist, to use the analogy from the other day. The ball hit, and then another loosening, another ungripping, right? And that the emotion that arises is the savoring, like I want to hold on more, but not out of like desperation and fear. It feels like a beauty and love kind of feeling. And then I question, okay, ego, you're getting pretty tricky to label that as beauty and love. Like, oh, you want this because it's those same feelings you've always like tended toward as your peak experiences, as the things to orient toward. And so that's the beautiful paradox that I'm going through lately of it's all true. And I don't have to feel one way or another about it. So I call it a savoring. So I'm still savoring, yet moving forward, not resisting. So how can you do both? Like, to savor something is also to resist the letting go of the thing. Oh, I love this stuff so much. this stuff meaning like, oh, I don't know what to call it. Words fail. So I think dissolving the separation, the illusion of separation is what I'll call it. It's just loosening its grip and dissolving little by little. And because it's so subtle now, I'm savoring every little bit because I've recognized that my life's trajectory about those peak experiences over 48 years, I will call it that because even I have memories from 2 years old, 2 to 3 years old. I probably should say 3 because some scientists might be like, you don't have memories from 2. They start at 3. I don't know. So I'll say from 3 years old having peak experiences, and then those big ball hits, and I feel like, who knows, maybe I might have some more big ball hits, but lately it feels like a, so I'm savoring every little bit. So savor is a word that I really love right now for savoring the self that still plays in the world and has feelings of like, and maybe those will still exist. Maybe I'll still have judgment thoughts and all those icky thoughts and whatever. So every time a grip loosens on all of that, part of me savors what's left to let go of. And that's this, how can illusions satisfy us? I guess that's a full circle moment to say maybe that's how. Like, it's really pointing to they don't satisfy us, but I'm like, the little part of me right now is like really savoring the illusion in a beautiful way. Like, oh. Anyway, this is probably a real trippy one for the books. Bye.